Does that sound fine?
What's the boogeyman?
Mike's camera takes a dive compilation.
Yeah.
It's very cut and dry, but I think that works to its advantage.
Well, come on. God, this fucking goddamn thing.
Potato and all that stuff. Mike's camera fell again.
Yeah, because I hit the fucking cable. No, we're
It's
good.
okay.
We're good.
Welcome back to the Moonjuice Metal Horror Podcast, podcast where we live and breathe heavy metal and horror, but are not afraid to shit on both of them. I'm Matt.
I'm Mike.
Yeah. So Mike's phone is finally set up and not falling all over the place.
Yeah, you recorded me half the time.
I know. That's I did that because I want that to be our opening because it's hilarious. Like you set it up and it fell down multiple times.
I'm finally using the background I wanted to use all the time. So I got everything set up, here in my living room, with my video games and my books and all of that. I just thought it was way more cooler than my kitchen.
As if anybody needed to be reminded that we're absolute nerds, right?
Yeah. I mean, now you can pretty much see it. I have all my Super Nintendo games, my consoles in the background. You have Zelda Monopoly right up there. That's my front room. One half is like entirely video games, and the other half is like books.
Yeah, it's like my best friend growing up, dude. Like we were both huge video game nerds, but he for whatever reason he kind of did the same thing you do. Like he displayed every video game cartridge he ever had. And you remember like back in the 90s, the Super Nintendo cartridges were like this thick, the box was, and about that big. And he had those just plastered all over his wall. And then like posters of video games. Like it looked like a store, like a video game store.
I know.
When you watch
the cool thing is, it makes actually a pretty cool decoration.
Yeah. I dig it. I mean, being a nerd's fun, dude, because there's a million things you can get if you like it.
Absolutely. And the crazy thing is, I have never actually had any girlfriend or partner that reacted negatively to it. Because people say women don't like guys that play games or whatever.
That's bullshit.
It depends. There are probably a lot of women out there like that, but I mean, all of my girlfriends have all reacted positively because if they see, like this half of my closet is all books. That I actually read books compared to the most guys. Even though I don't read that much, but yeah.
That's just it, dude. Like I think it depends on what type of person you're going for to be a partner, but I would never want a partner that didn't like that stuff, if that makes any sense.
I don't really care if she likes it, just that if she doesn't have a problem with it,
Yeah.
The majority of my girlfriends never really had a problem with it. I so far only had one that also kind of liked it, but there were other issues with her. You know that pretty much.
Yeah.
And my last girlfriend was not really into video games, but she was like, I'm a metal and a goth. She was a goth chick, and she's like, she has never met any guys from metal or gothic scene that were not into video games.
That's just part of it. It's like when we were talking to Nem, every time we have him on, he's like, I mean, I don't know what people assume if I'm like this black metal guy who sits back in his dungeon, like all day. But honestly, I'm just a big fucking nerd. Like I play video games all day.
Yeah.
I write music. And quite honestly, if you're not just a fan, and most fans are this way too, but if you're not just a fan, usually that's what we are. There's a bunch of video game comic book nerds.
Yeah.
We're just the cast of the Big Bang on a very large scale.
That is true. That is truly the cast of the Big Bang Theory, just with long hair.
Yeah. So yeah, we just recently did a really new film. Like the last episode that we put out, episode 46, was a spoiler episode for 28 years later, The Bone Temple. And we wanted to do something new. And so we did that. And now we're digging back into the pile of really, really good old movies because we agreed that when we did the list for this year for season 2, we wanted to include a lot of older movies, but specifically the good ones, right? Specifically the ones that we would really want to talk about because we can do cheesy horror movies and horror movies that are just bad all day long because honestly, there's more of them than there are good horror movies. Like the horror genre is just cursed by movies that are so bad that they're good, right?
Yeah,
So we can do those all day long, and God knows there's a market for that. Otherwise, they wouldn't be around. And I love those movies too. This time we decided to kind of dig back, and we found a movie that me and Mike. I'm not sure how many times you've seen this movie, or if it
multiple
was one that
times. I mean, when I was younger, I've seen it. I don't know, countless times, but this is like the first time I saw it in English.
Yeah.
Because when I first watched it, it was in German.
Okay.
Yeah. And in German, it has a different title. It's called, in English, it's called, should I say the title now?
Yeah. What movie are we doing, Mike?
Okay. We're doing The Mouth of Madness from
In the Mouth of Madness.
In the Mouth of Madness, right? What is that? Yeah, exactly.
In the Mouth of Madness.
In the Mouth of Madness. Absolute brilliant movie. And in German, it's called Die Mächte des Wahnsinns. I mean, translated, it's the forces of madness.
Yeah,
that's what it's called. The forces of madness.
Which is not a bad title. That actually fits.
It actually it fits more than the English title. Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, and but I don't know, for some reason this is like one of the why this movie always kind of caught my mind is this is like one of the very rare movies where I actually like the German title better than the English one.
Yeah.
You know, because it
German
sounds
title's good.
It sounds cooler. It's like In the Mouth of Madness or Die Mächte des Wahnsinns. I just think that sounds. I think the latter in German, it just sounds cool. Huh? But however,
yes.
but,
for people who don't speak German, though, like they're like, I don't know what he's talking about. I get it. Yes. The title in German is cooler than The Mouth of Madness for sure. But to everybody else, it sounds like a mouthful of Greek salad. You know.
Probably. Yeah, but even that's like the only thing that sounds cool. I mean, because I watched it yesterday or this morning. I just watched it in English, and it reminded me just how movies are always better in English than they are when they're German dubbed. Yes. And by the way, I wanted to give a shout out to one of our viewers. Because they actually suggested this movie in the comment section a way while back, but we just got around to do it today, and it was the user Borgar at nope3gmail.com. He mentioned this. I had to look through all of our comments again to find this one. It might have been the episode on The Thing. I'm pretty sure it was the episode on The Thing where he mentioned this, and now we're finally getting around to doing the movie. Also, there's another movie I remember going through our comments we have to do because one of our other viewers, Mario Pionis, Matt.
Oh yeah, that guy.
That guy, exactly. There's also another movie he mentioned that we also have to do.
What is it?
Puppet Master.
Oh fuck yeah!
Yeah,
I love Puppet Master.
Yeah, me too. And that's also one we have to do. Maybe see if we can fit it in somewhere next month. But so far, I mean, Borgar, this episode is for you.
Yeah, you're welcome. If I'm not mistaken, I'll have to check with him, but I think that's actually a Norwegian buddy of mine.
Could be. Yeah,
I think so. I think it's Borgar, but I'll hit him up after this episode to let him know we did his movie if it was him.
Yeah. What I love about it is it's one of those. It's a very super weird movie. Super weird. No, I mean also on the same level as Phantasm. You know, because Phantasm is a very kind of Lovecraftian type movie. So is this one. If you compare it to that's why I often, even back in the days, always compare these two movies. They have nothing in common when it comes to setting and context. It's just the atmosphere and the type. They're both movies that have taken very clear inspiration from Lovecraft, H.P. Lovecraft. What to a certain degree, I mean, the main antagonist in this movie is an amalgamation of Stephen King and H.P. Lovecraft. They
Yeah.
kind of, mix them up and everything.
That's kind of what I got. I
Yeah.
felt like, and I don't think I noticed that the last 2 times that I saw this film, but it was years ago that I saw it. I think that if they could have used H.P. Lovecraft's name, they would have, because this is straight up Lovecraftian, dude. Like,
Totally. Totally.
it is
Yeah.
from every book that he's written, the things that they talk about in this film, the way that you see the monsters, the way that they describe the abyss, everything is directly from H.P. Lovecraft.
Yeah.
Um, and I love that because there's not a whole lot of this, and it seems that when they do movies that are based on Lovecraft stuff, it's always a hit. I haven't seen a movie or a horror movie that was done from anything H.P. Lovecraft has done that was not a good film.
There's also,
But
yeah, there's
but
also actually what I find very rarely they do is video games as well. There are a few. There,
well,
there are a few they've done, with Cthulhu and all of that kind of stuff. Haven't really played those games, but one game that's brilliant, even though it was not actually successful, was Eternal Darkness.
I
Back in the
remember that
day,
game. I
that
love
game
that game.
that was inspired by H.P. Lovecraft. Brilliant game, by the way.
Yes.
Atmosphere, story, everything brilliantly done.
That's one of those ones that needs a reboot or a remake.
Yeah, maybe. No,
Yeah.
mean, I wouldn't have a problem with the remake, but I don't necessarily think everything. I mean, a remaster with a little bit of modern graphics, I'm fine.
Remaster is what I
I mean,
meant. Yeah.
I still have the game back there somewhere, but
Kind of like what they did with what the fuck is the name? Dead Space, right?
never played
So,
Dead Space.
man, so fucking great. That game series, with the exception of part 3, were amazing. And the atmosphere in the first game, it's just like any other game that came out, like late 2000s, anything like that. Brilliant graphics were good, but you could have imagined it, as we do with a lot of games, if the graphics were just a little bit better, how awesome it could be. And so what they did was they went back and redid Dead Space 1 with modern graphics without changing anything
Yeah.
in the story, except for a few tweaks here and there. But it was amazing. And I feel like that's a game that could definitely use that treatment, because it was a fucking fun game, dude. So much fun.
Yeah, it was. And this movie is, just like I said, Lovecraftian, super weird. Just the difference you can say in comparison to Phantasm is Phantasm leans fully in to the mysterious, weird, outer worldly shit, to the point where it becomes more a fever dream than a cohesive story. That's the thing you have with Phantasm, because
Phantasm is all over the place. I love that movie, and I still haven't seen 2 or 3, right?
or
But
4 or 5. I think it could
or
be
4 or
6.
5.
Yeah.
But that first movie leans so much into weirdness and an uncohesive story that half the time you don't know what's real and what's not, right?
But that's the
Uh,
point of it, yeah.
that's the point, right. This movie kind of does the same thing, but it's more apparent what's real and what's not.
Yes,
Like,
yes.
there is a definite, like, there's no scene in this movie where you watch it and you see something weird going on and you're not like, okay, is this actually happening or not? Like, you know what's happening and what's not happening.
Yeah.
It's very apparent that this guy in this film is not actually just having visions. He has visions, which happen every once in a while, but it's very clear that it's a vision. And then it's also very clear when something is actually happening. And I think that works to this movie's advantage, whereas that would not have worked with Phantasm. Phantasm is good because it feels like a fever dream and you have no idea what you're seeing is real or not.
Yeah, well, the first part even is a fever dream.
Yes.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
that's also the thing. One thing I haven't watched the final Phantasm movie, but what I know is that the entire Phantasm franchise is a fever dream.
Yeah.
The entire franchise.
That's clear. Yeah.
Yeah. Even up until the last movie, and that is revealed in the last movie. That all of the events, it's all a big fever dream.
Which is cool, but it makes it very hard to follow the movie. And that's why, like, we did the first one, and I remember that one being extremely hard to follow because we tried to do like a piece by piece to the movie, and I was like, I have no idea where we are now, dude. Like, you had to keep catching me up. Like, okay, no, Matt, we're here.
Yeah,
That's going to happen with every movie in that franchise for us.
Oh, definitely.
That's cool.
Definitely, because I know I saw the first 3 ones, and I know the third part gets super weird. It gets even. It's because it goes into the origin of the Talmud. By the way, is
out there. Yeah.
It's weird. It's just super weird. Really hard to.
We'll have to do part 2 sometime soon, man, because I do want to watch those.
Yeah.
This movie, of course, we talked about it before we started, but I did not realize at the time that this was a John Carpenter film. But today I finally realized that it's a John Carpenter film, and it feels very strange that I did not realize that earlier because this has John Carpenter written all over it, including in the title card.
Yes.
Which John Carpenter is notorious for. It's never just the name of the film. It is John Carpenter's In the Mouth of Madness.
Mm-hmm.
And not only is this movie meta for a few reasons, but the main thing is John Carpenter actually writes himself into the story. Did you catch that?
Did I catch that he writes himself into the story?
He writes himself into the story, yeah.
Is that with the main? Is that
it's one of those
the main protagonist, Sutter Cane?
No, so he's not actually an embodied character, but when you get to that part in the film, we'll get into it and I'll explain. But it's a book first, right? It's a book first, and like every other book that does insanely well, Stephen King is a great example. People are like, "Holy shit, this is going to be a cash cow if we make a movie out of it." And so the book that's talked about in this movie gets made into a film later in the movie. Yeah. And you see the movie poster and it says John Carpenter's In the Mouth of Madness. So he writes himself as the director of the film in the story into the book. That's awesome.
Yeah. Now I know
there's no limit that guy will go to get his name out there. You got to say that for John Carpenter. The guy is a master of self-promotion.
That's true. Yeah.
Anyway, but the actor in this movie is one of my favorite, but you should probably do the cast and crew before we completely forget.
Exactly. Well, but before we get into the cast and crew and to the movie, if you like our podcast, please don't forget to give us a like and a comment on this video and subscribe to our channel because it really helps out. And don't forget to hit the bell button to stay updated whenever we upload a new episode.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, there are of course, a lot of well-known actors, I would say, in this movie. And to start out, the first one is, of course, Sam Neill as John Trent. You know, the most people
love this guy.
I mean, this guy, he's a brilliant actor. I've seen him in so many movies. And I don't know, I think he's also played on pretty much every single franchise that exists. He's been in fantasy, horror, science fiction. Yeah. I think this guy has done literally probably almost, everything.
This guy is a jack of all trades. And I would argue, I don't think it's because... would you consider the first Jurassic Park film kind of a horror? Maybe a little bit.
No, not really. I never really saw it as a horror movie. No, I mean...
It's action. There are horror elements, of course.
There are horror elements, true. But how should I say it? I never really saw it as a horror movie because I don't know. I never saw anything actually scary. The only thing that actually scary is you see like the one guy get his arm bit off, more or less. Other than that, you don't see any gore or anything really that would in my opinion, make it scary. I don't really.
Well, gore
No,
doesn't
I
make a
never, I
horror
never saw
film.
it. I never thought it was scary in any kind of a way, even back when I saw
It's
it.
an action film. There
Yeah.
are some scary elements to it, but my point being, I think that this guy's best work as an actor has been horror. I mean,
True.
let's.
True. I mean, this or Event Horizon. No.
I was about to say, let's not forget Event Horizon, probably one of the best horror movies ever created. In my opinion.
Also, a very good movie he did was Daybreakers. If you saw that one.
Yes, also awesome. Yes,
He was the main antagonist of that one. Not a horror
Yeah.
movie; it's a vampire movie, but
vampire movie.
but it's absolutely brilliantly done.
Yeah.
No?
Yeah, this guy's
then-
awesome. And
Then we
everything he
get
does.
to the
Yeah.
main antagonist, played by the German actor Jürgen Prochnow. No? Yeah.
Best known for his role as the captain in Das Boot.
Yes, exactly. No?
Yeah. Very famous
Um,
German actor.
Yeah. Then we have Julia Carmen, who plays Linda Stiles. David Warner, that plays Dr. Wren. We have Lionel Luther.
All right.
No, no, his name is John Glover. Just every time I see this guy, I have to think of Smallville because he plays Lionel
I know.
Luther in there.
I know. I know.
Yeah.
I knew that was coming.
Yeah.
I could have put money on the fact that you were going to do that.
Okay, however, he plays Saperstein. We have Bernie Casson, who plays Robinson. Peter Jason playing Mr. Paul. Charlton Heston playing Jackson Harglow. We have Frances Bay playing Mrs. Pickman. That's literally her name here. No,
But yeah,
Pickman. Then we have the bad guy from Ghostbusters 2, William von Homburg.
Yeah.
Now, what was the character again? That he played he was the main antagonist of Ghostbusters 2. You know,
Janos.
Janos. Exactly. Janos. That's exactly this actor.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's him.
Yeah, okay, we have, I don't know, guard 1, guard 2, and then they're just, typical, I would say, Statisten, no?
Yeah.
After that,
Statistical characters. Just we
Statistical
call them
characters.
throwaway characters.
Exactly. Yeah, of course, the author, the one who wrote the story, was Michael DeLuca, no? And obviously, John Carpenter directed the movie. No?
Yeah.
Exactly. No.
So the reason I say this has John Carpenter written all over it is not literally because John Carpenter's name is written all over it, but the themes and the type of things that he likes to do, this movie has everything in it.
Mhm.
Practical effects is one of John Carpenter's staple things. And I went back and I read a little bit about this movie. This came out, I can't remember the exact date. I can't
94.
remember.
It was midnight.
1994.
It was 1994 when this movie came out. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this was on the cusp of when digital effects were being used, but they were not good, right? And so you could have done this thing with digital effects. A good example would be like the It movie for TV, right? So they use some digital effects there, but a lot of like stop motion photography, and it worked, but it looked a little cheesy. This movie uses only one digital effect in this entire film. The rest of it is all practical, and it looks great. Every time you see something on screen that is unnatural or otherworldly or disgusting, it is an actual effect, and it works really fucking well. The only digital effect, Mike, is the part kind of towards the end where the writer tears through reality and you see him peeling, like pages of the book away. That's digital, but it was done tastefully and it worked. I think worked really well.
Yeah.
But everything else is actually there. You're actually seeing it. And I love that. So thank you, John Carpenter, for not fucking this one up.
Yeah.
The main protagonist, Sam Neill's character.
Yeah.
This guy is one of the most hated people in the United States. Everybody talks about these guys and lawyers like they can't stand them, but his job is to investigate fraud. So if if someone burns down their business to collect the insurance money
Yeah.
and the story looks fishy, he investigates it. And supposedly he's one of the best ones in the US. Like he's the guy that you go and look for your insurance company if there looks like there's a fraud case, because if there's fraud, he's going to catch him. And that's exactly what we see him doing at the beginning of this film. He goes into. Is there something I missed at the very beginning
Yes,
besides
no.
this?
The movie starts out with no, because
Oh, right.
the movie starts out with him being locked up in an asylum. Guess he
I
gets
missed the whole opening. Yeah, you're
yeah.
right.
The opening is basically he gets he's now being locked up in an asylum because he completely fucking lost his mind, and they then finally lock him up. He starts to go a little bit nuts. And then you have like a doctor coming in that is supposed to interview because
Right.
they want to know what's actually going on with him, why he eventually went insane and killed somebody. And this is where Sam Neill, his character, John Trent, basically starts telling his story to this doctor. And
Right.
then it starts to what you basically said.
I think one of the interesting things that's pointed out here at the beginning too, when the doctor comes in to see him, he's in his cell. We just saw him get moved from one cell to
Yes.
another cell,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So he's in his cell, and at first he doesn't want to be there. And it's obvious. He's like, I'm not crazy. I don't need to be here, blah, blah, blah. Next scene, you see the doctor comes to visit him, and he's got crosses drawn all over the inside of his cell. Like,
Yeah.
literally, this looks like it probably took the stage team a good week to do, because there's little tiny crosses and big crosses. It's a
Mhm.
padded room where crosses are drawn all over everything.
Yeah.
He's drawing crosses all over his face, all over his outfit. He looks insane, and the doctor says
Mhm.
that. He's like, you didn't seem like someone who wanted to be here when you first got here. And now you're acting insane and you've covered your cell with crosses. I think maybe you thought that if you did this, they wouldn't let you out. Right. So
Yeah.
why do you not want to get out? And this is where Sam Neill's character kind of cuts the act a little bit. He's like,
Yeah.
okay, sit down and I'll tell you the story. So from this point on, you realize that he's actually not bonkers, but he does realize something's going on outside, and he doesn't want to have anything to do with it.
This is kind of the thing. He is bonkers, but this is kind of the thing leads into the Lovecraftian style of it. You
Yeah.
know, the suspense, supernatural, actually evil that you cannot see. That once somebody is confronted with it, it drives them into madness. Just
Right.
because so the human mind can't really conceive it. Duh? And
Right.
that's kind of the situation he's in. He knows that whatever he saw during the events that he explains kind of driven him mad, and that he cannot really understand what's going on, but he knows that it's going on in the rest of the world, and that he is kind of the only one that has kind of a short hint to what's actually going on. But even he
Right.
can't fully understand it because
Right.
everything is so otherworldly that nobody can actually grasp
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So from there, the doctor starts to interview him, and he starts to tell the story, right? And
Yeah.
this goes into the part that I was just describing before. He's an insurance fraud investigator, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So he's sitting in the office of a guy who owns an insurance company, and they've got a client sitting in the room with him. He goes in and says, "Hey, uh, you know, I'm not saying that you're lying or anything like that, but we had to look into a few things to make sure that your claim was legitimate."
Yeah.
The guy that's made the claim is sitting there sweating profusely. He looks really nervous. Obviously, you know that this guy had, done a fraudulent claim and that he's there to
Yeah.
invent. Sam Neill's character basically says, "Yeah, we know that you lied. Here's how we know, because we have pictures of your wife walking around the street wearing some of the things that you said burned up in your building. And then on top of that, when we went to talk to her, she got really talkative with us after we showed her pictures of your mistress wearing some of your other things that you said burned up in the fire."
Yeah.
And the guy knows he's caught and that, he's going to jail. And he says, if you do want to make a fraudulent insurance claim and run a scam, make sure that if you involve your wife, you're not messing around on her at the same time.
Yeah.
Right. So this is to set up that he is actually really good at his job. One, he's intelligent. He can see signs of things that maybe might not be real or fabricated.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
he's a very sound mind person and a very no bullshit kind of guy, which is why when he comes into contact with this otherworldly force, he has a really hard time accepting the fact that this might all be true, right?
Yeah.
So after this scene, he goes to lunch with the guy who's the head of the insurance company that he just did the investigation on.
Yeah.
The guy is saying, "Hey, you're really good at your job. You should basically come work for us full time. We can give you more money." He says, "No, I don't want to do that. I'm a freelancer. I like working for myself. I don't like anybody else calling the shots." At the exact same time, they're sitting in a diner that is across the street from a bookstore
Yeah.
that has just released the new copy of the book that is the main MacGuffin of this series. And what's the writer's name? I
Sutter
forget.
Cane is his
Sutter Cane.
is what he's called. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So Sutter Cane is basically an author like you would expect Stephen King to be, right?
Yes.
He
Yeah.
is a bestseller of horror books. Everybody knows this guy's name. He's a household name, at least in this universe.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would have said they were basically wanting to use Stephen King, but then they mention Stephen King. They say, well, I mean, this guy's outsold Stephen King's books. Like, that's how good this guy is. Right?
Yeah. The Sutter Cane is an amalgamation of Stephen King and H.P. Lovecraft.
Yeah.
That's what he's supposed to be. But also, it's also mentioned pretty much, I think, also when they're sitting in the cafe, that there's kind of a thing going on that a lot of Sutter Cane's fans are insane, that they start becoming extremely violent, and that a lot of people believe that it is Sutter Cane's books that makes people crazy. And this is kind of the thing that's going to go on throughout the entire movie, because you have Sam Neill's character denying it, and it's like, nah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This guy ain't buying this shit at all,
Mm,
man.
yeah.
Like the entire film is just like, no, everything's a setup, nothing's real, blah
Yeah.
blah blah. And the thing is, he ends up partially being correct about that.
Yeah.
But it's more there's more to it than meets the eye. And
Yeah.
the thing that doesn't make any sense here, and I feel maybe could have been left out of the film, but I know they put it in there for dramatic effect, is while they're sitting in this diner, a guy from across the street at the bookstore steps out of the bookstore, is holding an axe, and looks like he hasn't slept in a week, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And he kind of starts walking across the street. People notice he has an axe, so they're diving out of his way. He walks up to the window where they're sitting and eating, breaks the window with the axe, looks down at Sam Neill's character, who is now on the ground because the glass came flying, right? And he says, "Do you read Sutter Cane?" And he's standing there with an axe. He's like, "Do you read Sutter Cane?" And Sam Neill's character's like, "What?" And the guy raises the axe and is about to kill Sam Neill. And then the cops, by the way, the fastest cops I have ever seen in my entire life. These guys are there like this.
Yeah.
Like, this guy just walked out of the bookstore across the street. Not 5 seconds later, these cops are in this building and they shoot this guy dead. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, if this were a publicity stunt, I don't think a publicity stunt would have gone this far.
No, not at all. But it's not at all. Publicity stunt, definitely not. They would have not. I mean, because he jumps through a glass window, causes all of this damage. But the thing is it actually a publicity stunt, or is it because this is actually, I think, the lawyer or publisher of Sutter Cane. Actually, that's the crazy guy that's jumping through the window. Later on, something when we meet Sutter Cane that he says is going to make you question this entire thing, everything leading up to them actually meeting Sutter Cane. Not going to bring that up yet, but
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. This is, I think, I'm not sure this is also pretty much where the scene ends, and then it cuts
Yep.
to Sam Neill's character at home
Yep.
talking to somebody on the phone. And this is also where he mentions, that he does not think that any of these people that are violent, that it's being caused by Sutter Cane books, just that these people are complete fucking nuts, and it's a big outcry. It's just a big phenomenon like Dungeons and Dragons, or like back in the day in the 80s, when a lot of when the government was going like, oh, satanic
Yeah.
epidemic.
Yeah.
Because Dungeons and Dragons apparently is back in the day was evil, and he makes this kind of comparison because it says that's kind of the situation what he thinks is going on. Somehow Sutter Cane has gone missing. And
Right.
then also the publisher, the company that publishes the Sutter Cane books, they also hired Sam Neill's character to figure out where Sutter Cane is because he's lost. And,
Right.
and he was supposed to release his new book, and of course, money won. And then
Right.
you have he's watching some kind of television show until Sam Neill has like multiple Sutter Cane books, laying on the table, until he notices some kind of a pattern, and so he starts cutting out through the cover of the books and forms that into a mini.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
This is the interesting thing here I wanted to point out, though, because this guy just saw a man shot dead by the police in front of him that stormed through a building. There was already blood on the axe, too, before he walked in, which means he probably killed somebody else. When Sam Neill is brought in to meet the publisher of this book and his assistant, because they want him to go look for Sutter Cane, because Sutter Cane is missing, like you said, he believes all of this is fabricated. He believes that all this is a publicity stunt. He believes that it's all fake, and he thinks that they're in on it as well. So there's an air of, okay, I'll go and try to find this guy, because like you said, he pieced together the covers of the book to make a small city that supposedly doesn't exist on the map. And he says, I think this is where he is. But here's the thing. Are you guys sure you're not sending me on a wild goose chase for publicity? Because this whole thing feels like publicity. I feel like you sent Sutter Cane to this area so that I would have to go find him. And that would create this crazy big story that would buy more books or sell more books and all this stuff. So are you guys in on this? Of course, the publisher's like, no, not at all. We have no idea. All we have are the first 2 chapters of the new book that he sent by mail. And that's all we have. He's disappeared. So we want you to find him because obviously we want to publish this book and we obviously want to make more money. So why would we be staging anything? And he's like, okay, in that case, I'll go. But if I find out that this is a publicity stunt, I'm coming right back and, you're going to pay me anyway. So the guy who owns the publishing, Charleston Heston's character, which, by the way, I think this might be one of the last movies he did before he stopped doing movies. Great actor, by the way. He says, okay, I'll send my assistant with you. And then that way, we're not messing around. We're not sending you on a wild goose chase. She's going to go with you. Sam Neill's character is a little bit of a womanizer. I don't know if you caught that. The minute he realizes that she's going to go with him, he walks out into the hallway and does the typical, hand on the wall as close as he can to her face, hitting on her kind of thing. I was like, oh, man, I like this character up until this point. But whatever.
Yeah.
The guy's kind of a jerk. Doesn't matter. Anyway, him and the Charleston Heston's assistant get in a car and start heading to this town that supposedly doesn't exist, which the town is called Cobb's End, right?
Yeah.
So Cobb's End. Did you notice how close this thing is to Maine?
What?
The reason I say that, so when you see the map that he creates from the book covers, this is a town that exists right outside of Maine, which is in every Stephen King novel. Everything that Stephen King does happens in Maine.
Yeah.
So this is kind of a little callback to Stephen King, because everything weird that happens in Stephen King's books happens in Maine.
Yeah.
It happens in Maine. The Dark Tower happens in Maine. Every fucking book, Hearts in Atlantis, everything happens in Maine.
Yeah.
So that's just a nice little Easter egg, and kind of a nod to Stephen King. Anyway, this is where shit starts getting weird, right? As if it wasn't weird already. But he gets in the car with her. They're traveling. Um, the response that this woman has to him waking her up, what a fucking jerk. This scene, she falls asleep in the car next to him, right?
Yeah.
There's no radio on, there's no nothing. He's just driving and she's asleep in the car next to it. Instead of like poking her and saying, "Hey, wake up," he grabs like a clown's horn out
Yeah.
of the fucking glove box, goes next to her head and honks it. Her response to this is really the only response that a human being should have if somebody does something like that to me. She like takes the closest bag of chips she has and just throws it at him. There's chips
Yeah.
flying all over the fucking car. He's like, "What? Never hit a driver with chips." She's like, "That's not how you wake someone up." And she's
Yeah.
right. What a fucking jerk. Anyway, they're traveling down the road. Day turns to night. And on the way, she sees this kid on a bicycle.
Yeah.
And this kid is not dressed like someone from mid 90s. He's dressed like someone kind of like from maybe the 50s or the 60s.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he's got cards in the spokes of his bicycle, which is what kids used to do back then. They probably still do it now. I don't know. And he's driving on the same road that they are, but he's in the left lane, which is
Yeah.
where oncoming traffic would probably come and hit him. So she thinks it's odd that he's traveling on that side. And it's also really late at night and he doesn't have a light on his bike. So she thinks this is weird, keeps going and really doesn't think much of it. The next mile, a bike comes from the other direction on the same side of the road. And it's a person wearing the exact same clothes as the kid who she just passed on the bike, except now this person is probably close to 90 something years old.
Yeah.
Long white hair, wrinkled face, doesn't make any sense. So she wakes Sam Neill's character up and says, "Hey, I just saw something really strange. I don't know if I think she thinks that she might be dreaming, like she's falling asleep at the wheel and she's waking him up so that he'll take the wheel." She looks over at him and says, "Hey, I saw something weird. Doesn't make sense." At that exact time, she looks back and that same bicyclist that looks really old is in front of the car driving straight at them and they hit him. Right.
Yeah.
So they hit the guy on the bike. The guy flips over the top of the car. They stop the car, pull over, get out of the car and go see if the guy is okay. The guy is laying in the middle of the street, mumbling something. I can't remember exactly. Something like "they won't let me leave"
Yeah.
or something like that, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Which doesn't make any sense. Sam Neill, of course, this is the time where I don't think there were cell phones. I didn't see anybody with a cell phone,
Yeah.
but he's like, "We need to call an ambulance." And so they're going back to the car to get in, and they turn around, and the person is right back on the bike driving away from them. So the person got right back up after a 45-mile-an-hour collision, got back on the bike and rode away. So shit's already getting a little bit weird. Sam Neill's character's like, "Well, I guess we don't need to worry about this. Let's just get to the town." Right. So they get back in the car and start heading for the town.
Yeah.
When they get there, you see the sign Cobb's End, which is the name of this town. This town doesn't look like it's much bigger than maybe, I don't know, maybe like 4,000 people population. It's kind of a small
Probably around that. Yeah.
village
Yeah.
kind of place, right? Looks like something out of Maine, of course, again.
Yeah.
Kind of a rustic old town, kind of like a cool place you'd probably stop in just to see because not a lot of people go through there. And they're told as much when they go into the hotel. There's kind of a little hotel there. It looks like a bed and breakfast. They walk in.
But the
Go ahead.
interesting thing is when they get into this town, they walk around a little bit, look around town a little bit, and talking a little bit, and everything is like a ghost town, straight up to begin with. You see nobody anywhere, and of course, it has like this is probably underlined very lot by the music done that it has this very mysterious and eerie thing going on, and I think they have a sort of discussion. Sam Neill character says something like, "This place is weird. Nothing's going on here." And then they blur out, and you see a bloody axe laying on stump.
Yeah.
Yeah. But this is also
Outside.
the next thing that I found really weird. If I was in this place, Matt, I would have not
Yeah.
gone to a hotel in this town. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, this is an entire ghost town. You see nobody anywhere, nothing happening in broad daylight. If it was nighttime, it was like, yeah, okay, normal. You see maybe one or two people walking around, one or two cars, but this is like nothing. If you actually notice, if you notice it, you don't even hear animal sounds. No birds,
Nope.
nothing.
Nothing.
No?
It's like the Langoliers. Yeah.
Exactly. And that's kind of the thing is, if you're somewhere and you hear nothing, not even bird sounds, no wildlife or whatever, that's a big alarm sign. I
Yeah.
would have. Of course, it's a horror movie. Now, this guy's there because he's in there for a lot of money. But even if I would have went to a hotel some place out of town.
Well, I
Yeah.
think maybe the only reason they didn't, because
Yeah.
I thought the same thing. The only
Yeah.
reason they didn't, well, there's two reasons. One, like you said, there's a lot of money riding on this. If he's able to find the writer, then he's going to be making bank. I mean, they already said
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Two, the only sound that we hear and the only thing that we get that lets us know that there's anything else living here is an Australian shepherd runs around the corner and is running in front of the house, and then this big group of children are running behind it, right?
Yeah.
But these children are, I mean, they're kind of dead-eyed. Like they don't have any expression on their face. They're
Yeah.
not laughing, they're not screaming, they're just running after this dog, right? And
Mhm.
so they were like, okay, there are some things in the town, it's not completely weird, whatever. But that would have also been a very big clue to me that something's not right.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
it is
Yeah.
a very silent scene of a dog running and then a bunch of children running behind it, not making a sound.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, this is also his companion. I mean, I don't remember her name.
I don't either.
The assistant. I'm gonna call her.
Yeah.
She instantly notices something is going on because shortly before they enter the city, when she drives through this tunnel, she sees a lot of weird shit happening. Lights going on. She's seeing things. She's hallucinating, and it's the middle of the night. And
Yeah.
once she gets out of this tunnel, it's broad daylight
It's
again.
daylight. Yeah.
Yeah, broad daylight.
Yeah.
And she's super freaked out by this. Now this is
Yeah.
when they. Yeah.
That scene is also directly lifted from a Lovecraft book.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
and I think it's used more than once in the books where there's a bridge going over water, and if you go through it to the other side, you're basically in another universe.
Yeah.
That happens in 2 books from H.P. Lovecraft, and it's used again and again and again in movies and series. Like, this is a very typical trope, a Lovecraftian trope. So, yeah, you're right. It goes
Yeah.
from darkness to daylight by going through the tunnel.
Yeah,
So,
this
yeah,
is-
there's a lot of signs these guys ignore the shit out of.
exactly. But this is the brilliant thing. This is also where the entire kind of premise of the movie comes clear. They check into the hotel, no, and his assistant instantly notices the old lady from the way she
Yeah.
looked, whatever, because she looks exactly like a character from one of Sutter Cane's books. I mean,
Yep.
on the drive there, her and Sam Neill have the discussion. She said what she likes about horror, whatever. She likes being scared and all that kind of things. Sam Neill, the kind of guy, he sees all of Sutter Cane's books as the same plot. It's some scary monster lingering somewhere that's killing some people, and
Yeah.
he does not. He's one of those people that if you don't like a certain genre, you see every plot as the same.
Yeah.
But I mean, you hear that all the time when it comes to sci-fi, fantasy, superhero movies, or whatever. But the thing is, every time you hear that argument, you can apply that argument to any franchise, to any
Exactly.
genre. No?
Right.
What kind of like is this? You instantly know when this person he's just not the type of person that likes this stuff.
Right.
Because
Which
the argument
is why this character works so well.
I know, exactly. And then you have like she instantly notices who this old lady is because she's exactly the same kind of she's exactly the character that the assistant read in one of Sutter Cane's books. No? And this is where the assistant automatically notices they're not really in the real world anymore. Because now
Right.
they have entered a new reality. They are inside a Sutter Cane book, a book of
Right.
Sutter Cane. Yeah.
And she starts calling things out immediately that she remembers from the book too, because when she gets to the desk and she realizes that the old woman is the same one from the book, she
Yeah.
also says there should be a painting right behind us on the wall.
Yeah.
And he turns around and there's a painting on the wall right behind them of a woman and a man standing next to the water.
Yeah.
And you have to watch this painting because this painting changes dramatically throughout the film, right?
Yeah, but also when they're checking in, because Sam Neill is talking to the old lady and the assistant is turning around. Every time she looks at these picture, it's different because the first time the assistant sees her and Sam Neill in the picture.
Right.
Yeah? The second time she sees an entirely different couple with entire background, and the woman on the picture turns her head around and looks at her. This
Right.
is what makes
Right.
it. Then they go up to their room and then they start having a discussion because the assistant is like fully convinced now they are in a Sutter Cane reality. Huh?
Yep.
And Sam
And
Neill's Sam Neill's
yeah.
character is like, "You're fucking crazy." He's like,
Yeah, he starts blaming her too. Like
Yeah,
he's like, no, nice try. You're in on this. It's a nice thing that you guys have set up. This is very smart. But I'm not buying any of it. Like
Yeah.
this is all a publicity stunt, right?
Yeah, but
He's not buying a second of this shit.
opinion of it because she also explains the character of the old lady, and he's like, "Yeah,
Yeah.
but that old lady is some crazy woman that is killing her husband with an axe.
Right.
That old lady couldn't harm anybody. That's the difference between fiction and reality. Because
Right.
if we were in a Sutter Cane book, if I open up this window, what I should see is a church with I can't remember the word.
Two golden onions on the top,
Yeah,
which is
wait,
what
a
they
church-
call on the steeples of the old churches. There used to be a big golden ball with
Yeah.
a
Yeah,
point sticking out of it, and those are called golden onions. So he
Yeah.
says there should be a church outside of that window that is a darker looking church with golden onions on top of it. And he opens the window and it's not there.
it's just
And
it's
then
just
she
a fucking
says,
it's just a fucking part exactly. Then she goes yeah, you didn't read the book right. You should have known that that church was to the east. She opens up the other window, other side of the room, and you see exactly that.
Yeah. And this is kind of where I feel like he has a little bit of a realization. Like he starts to maybe buy it a little bit. He's like, okay, all right. Well, but he's just still kind of going through the motions. He knows something weird is going on, but he's like, okay, well, let's go ahead and follow this through to the end just to see where it leads, right?
Yeah.
And so at this point they decide to go to the church, right?
Yeah.
So they get in their car and they drive to the church. When they get to the church, they step out and he's reading through the book as they walk up to the church. And he's like, well, it says that this church was vacated. It's not in use anymore. And it's because there is an evil force that dwells within that corrupts everything it touches. And that's why people don't go to this church. And he's like, this sounds like absolute bullshit. How can you guys read this crap? You know, like he's not buying this shit at all. When they get up to the door, they realize that there's kind of two placards on both doors
Yeah.
that say something. I can't remember exactly what it says, but it's very Lovecraftian in its tone. It says,
one who enters this church, soul is damned, something on those
Yeah.
lines.
yeah, beware those who enter, for your soul will be eternally damned.
Yeah.
Something like that, right? They don't go in, and I think it's because they're stopped by the sound of cars
Yeah.
driving up to the church, right?
Yeah.
So as they're about to go in, there are multiple cars driving up. Sam Neill's character standing there like, what the fuck is this now? You know?
Yeah.
The woman, on the other hand, is like, no, we need to get the fuck out of here. I know what these guys are. They're in the book. They have guns. Sam Neill's like, okay. He's still not buying it, but he's like, okay. So they kind of go off to the left of the church. All these cars and trucks drive up to the front of the church. Men start pouring out of the cars, and they all have shotguns and weapons. And they're running up to the door. the one main guy is kind of we see him later in the movie too, but he's kind of an older guy with long white hair. And he's yelling someone's name, which is a boy's name, right?
Yeah.
And he walks up to the church and screams at the door. He's like, let him out, let him out, let him come back. The doors swing open and you see this really creepy little kid that looks like the kid
Yeah.
from The Omen, right?
Yeah.
He's like this disheveled little kid with weird eyes, fucked up hair. The doors kind of open and close on him repeatedly, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then the doors open again. You think you're going to see the little boy, and instead of seeing the little boy, you see a very I would call this guy Stephen King-esque looking character.
Yeah.
Because I don't know. Did you read the Dark Tower series, or do you know about Randall Flagg?
No.
Okay, so there's a character in all of Stephen King's books that have anything to do with the Dark Tower. There's like 12 different books outside of the Dark Tower series. The way that you see this guy look when the doors open up is exactly what Randall Flagg looks like from all those
Yeah.
books.
This is Sutter
He's
Cane.
called,
Yeah.
this is Sutter Cane, but he looks exactly like Randall Flagg. And so
Yeah.
I was like, I know what they're doing there. I know
Yeah.
what they're doing there. But this is the German actor whose name I can't remember right now.
Jürgen Prochnow.
But yeah.
Yeah.
The captain from Das Boot. But he's standing there. He's got kind of a knowing look on his face. Like he's not standing there in surprise. He looks like he knows what's going on. He's got a book pressed to his chest, and he's smiling. And the doors close on him again. Sam Neill's character looks at the assistant and says, "Who's that? Is that Sutter Cane?" She
Yeah.
says, "Yes, that's Sutter Cane. He's here." And as she says that, all of a sudden, all of these, I can't remember what type of dogs they are, but these are, what are these? Rottweilers?
Nah, maybe. They're dogs.
Yeah. They're very angry looking dogs. I
Yeah.
think they're Rottweilers, but
Yeah,
they
yeah.
come from either side of the church around the front and start barking ferociously at the men that are standing there. Obviously, the men fire their guns into the air to try to get the dogs to go away. The dogs don't seem to give a shit, so all the men get back in their trucks and drive away. Sam Neill's character is still not convinced, right? Not at all. But he's like, okay, for whatever reason, they go back to the hotel. I can't remember why.
No, they first go back to their car and then they're interrupted by this little girl that does something to them. Yeah. And then they go back to the hotel. This is the part where it gets a little bit difficult to let's say follow the story, just because it's very weird at this point. Because at this point they go back to the hotel. Sam Neill still isn't convinced by what's happening, but also this is where I think this is also where okay. It's going to be difficult now to follow through with the story, just because even though we just watched it,
it does get weird because now there's a series of nightmares.
Yes.
There's a series of different weird happenings that just kind of happen, and so it's hard to follow. But
also, Sutter Cane somehow now influences the assistant, huh? Because from this point on, she becomes one of the kind of creatures from Sutter Cane, pretty much up until the end, huh?
Right.
And also during the night, I think this is where, in a dream, the assistant is now in the room somewhere with Sutter Cane. Yeah.
Yeah.
He explains, and she comes into the church, and he's tipping on his riding machine, on his typewriter, something. Then he has a short discussion with her, until eventually she walks up to him and starts kissing him.
Yeah.
And they start making out, and you see that on the back of Sutter Cane's head, this weird ass creature done with practical effects, by the way, but super cool. Duh.
Yeah.
Then if I remember right, this is where Sam Neill wakes up in the hotel. No?
Well, there's a short dreamscape here, and it's something that we missed at the beginning of the film, but he has it again here. Yeah. There was a dream that he had kind of towards the beginning of the film where he walks down an alleyway,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
there's a cop that is beating up a random civilian, and we don't know
Right.
why.
Right. Yeah.
So he's beating up the civilian with his billy club. The person falls on the ground, obviously, because he's beat the crap out of him. He turns to Sam Neill's character with a very normal face, normal
Yeah.
cop face, and says, "You want some too, buddy?" And Sam Neill's character kind of like bows his head, turns around, and walks off.
Yeah.
Right. And that was the dream. Now we're seeing that same dream again,
Yeah.
but the dream happens differently this time. So he's walking down the alley, and this time on the wall to his left is a big advertisement for the book. And instead of the book being called what it's called before, it wasn't called In the Mouth of Madness yet. It just said
Yeah.
Sutter Cane, right?
Mm.
Now it says Cobb's End Horror. So the name of the book changes with what's happening at the time.
Yeah.
So he
Yeah.
walks past that, notices it, thinks it's a little strange, and then walks into the alley where this cop is beating up the civilian again. The civilian falls on the ground. The cop turns around. This time, the cop's face is distorted and a little bit alien looking. Like
Like a
his
zombie.
eyes are,
Yeah.
almost
He looks like a
zombie-like. Right?
zombie. Yeah.
Same thing happens again. The cop says, "Do you want some too, buddy?" Sam Neill turns around to walk away like he did before, but when he turns around, the scene stat happens again, right?
Yeah.
So he turns around and he sees the cop beating up the civilian. Civilian falls on the ground. The cop turns around. This time he looks like a fucking monster. Like he's got his eyes are changed. His face has tentacles growing out of it. His eyes have shifted. And when Sam Neill turns around to get away, he turns around and sees the publisher that attacked him at the beginning with an axe,
Yeah.
and a whole bunch of other people whose faces are all fucked up, who look like monsters, are all carrying axes, and they go to attack him. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
He wakes up in the hotel and realizes it was a dream, or was it? Anyway, he wakes up next to the woman, or in his hotel room, goes to her. She's acting a little bit strange, right? Because we got that scene where she went and talked to Sutter Cane. I want to point out there's something in that scene that I wanted to bring up, but we see it again later. There's a big door, like
Yeah.
a big cathedral door in the room where Sutter Cane is working and typing.
Yeah.
And it's slimy and it's covered in black goo and it's moving. And this effect is really cool. I love this fucking door.
Yeah. Yeah.
And every time I see it, I'm like, how the fuck did they do that? Because it's really, really well done. And it just looks like something straight out of a Lovecraftian book where you don't want to get anywhere near it. Because there's something trying to come through the door. The wood looks wet almost.
Yeah.
So like you can see things moving on the other side of the door. It's nightmare fuel, dude.
Mm.
Anyway, he wakes up and goes to the woman and says, "Hey, I do believe that something is going on here now. Something's not right.
Yeah.
So maybe we should go back to the church, find Sutter Cane, and get out of here." Right. So she agrees to that. They go downstairs and they get in the car and they go to the church. When they get to the church, they walk directly inside and go to Sutter Cane himself. And somehow we get the same thing. He's sitting typing on his typewriter, but he knows Sam Neill's character, and Sam Neill also knows him, but he doesn't know why he knows him. He's like,
Yeah.
I feel like we've had this conversation before.
Mm.
And Sutter Cane starts describing what his book actually is, right? And so this is where we get he says, people believe my book is the real word. It's going to replace the Bible. This is what humanity's end is going to look like. And he doesn't really explain a whole lot, but he talks about the dark things that live in this other realm and that they're going to take over the world and all this other crazy shit. Sam Neill at this point, I kind of does believe what's going on now. Like, I don't know how you could.
But but this is the funny thing, because this is also where you can also question the main protagonist, Sam Neill's entire character, his existence, huh? Because this is also where Sutter Cane explains, in the beginning, he thought he was only writing fiction. He also didn't believe that his stories were real until he noticed that they were talking to me. And then he looks over at the door. And
Yeah.
then he said, at one point, Sutter Cane explains the more stories he written, the more real they became. The more people
Right.
start to reading his books, the more real they became. And he leans
Right.
towards the door. It says, they gave me this power to make my stories more or less real. And where he also says, the more people that read my books, the more real it will become. And
Right.
then and this is also where Sutter Cane says, basically, I wrote you as a character into my book. I created you. No?
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
what really makes you question the entire reality of this story, because this is where, um, let's say, H.P. Lovecraft, the author's story, becomes reality. At what
Right.
point is anything in this story real, or is it really just the story of this author? And he created Sam Neill's character to begin with, and before Sutter Cane wrote this story, Sam Neill's character never really existed. This will turn into an entire mind fuck.
Yeah.
If you really think about it.
Yeah.
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 But
I
also,
think that's why it works too,
yeah,
because you've been watching these things happen since the beginning of the
I
film,
know,
and you're just supposed to believe that this is just happening.
but
Right?
also you miss out an entire part. You miss out the part where Sam Neill was in the hotel, no? And you saw actually the old lady as this kind of dragon monster, killing her husband. Then he drove out into the city, and you have like this weird cult thing going on with all of the villagers.
I thought that comes after this.
No, I thought it was before that, because what you're
No,
bringing up
because
now, that happens before that, because this is the scene.
right.
Yeah. However,
I was waiting to talk about the scene because it's great.
it is really weird. However,
I know what it was, Mike. I know what it was. So
yeah,
as they're leaving the hotel to go see Sutter Cane,
yeah,
he talks to the woman behind the desk, and she looks like she hasn't slept in a week. She's got really dark eyes. She looks a little bit disheveled, and he says to her, "You look like you didn't sleep very well." And she says, "Oh, I've been reading this book." And she pulls up Sutter Cane's book, and she's like, "Oh, I've been reading this, and it kept me up all night." Sam Neill lights a cigarette, and she says, "Oh, put that out, please. My husband doesn't like the cigarette smoke in the hotel."
yeah,
So he puts it out. The whole time that she's talking to him, she's kicking something at her feet,
yeah,
right? And you don't know what that is. But Sam Neill tries to look, and she kind of like stops him from looking. And she's like, "Well, have a good day now." And he leaves. And then you see what she's been kicking, and it's her husband. Her older husband
yeah,
is naked, handcuffed to her leg on the floor, and she's been kicking him the whole time that she's talking to him.
yeah,
And
yeah,
this is where he leaves with her and goes to the church to see him. Now, after this thing with Sutter Cane, where they're at the church and he's explaining what the whole story is, they come back, or he comes back because she stays there, right?
yeah, yeah,
He comes back to the hotel, and the woman is not at the desk anymore. We don't know where she is, but then they
yeah.
show that she's in the basement and she's turned into one of these things. The only thing that I can describe her as is kind of like a tentacle monster with
Medusa. Medusa. Medusa.
a
Yeah,
tentacle monster Medusa type thing, and she's torturing her husband and cutting him to pieces with an axe. Right?
yeah, yeah,
Sam Neill hears the screams from the basement and is like, "Okay, I don't need to be here. I need to get the fuck out of here." He goes out into the parking lot, and there's kind of this winter garden that's also on the property of the hotel. And through the winter garden windows, he can see another monster that's standing in there looking directly at him. And this thing is also another huge Lovecraftian monster with tentacles and
yeah,
teeth. It breaks the window, and it looks like it's going to come after him. He gets in the car and takes off. Um, when he takes off, uh, he meets the group of people in the street that you were talking about.
yeah, yeah,
So he's trying to drive back to the church, but gets stopped by a group of townspeople who are kind of walking around in a circle, right?
yeah.
I can't exactly remember what happens in the scene. Do you remember?
No, me neither. I can't fully remember, because this is all of a sudden where you see his assistant again. He appears
Yeah.
now to be one of them.
Right.
They're mumbling some weird chanting thing, and other people are trying to prevent him from going anywhere. No,
Yeah,
I'm also not. I can't.
I
I can't.
remember. So
No?
I
Yeah.
got it. They try to keep him from getting back into his car, because he had to stop the car because they're standing in the only way that he can go.
Mhm.
This is when he realized that the assistant that went with him, the girl, is one of them, and she's laughing in his face hysterically, and then punches him in the face. She punches him in the face, and he's like, "What the fuck?" His only reaction is to hit her back, so he decks her as hard as he can in the face as well. I'm like, "Oh shit! All right."
Yeah.
So he hits her, knocks her out, throws her over his shoulder, puts her in the car, and drives her because he's heading back to the church.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, something happens along the way back to the church to where they have to stop the car, and I can't remember exactly what it is,
Yeah.
but
He,
he stops the car and she's sitting there looking at him with this weird face.
yeah.
And her face is starting to change a little bit. So he gets freaked out and gets out of the car. When he gets out of the car, he walks away and looks at the car. Her door swings open and she gets out, but her head is turned around backwards and
Yeah.
upside down. And it's the only way I can describe this is maybe like what happens in Dead Space with the
Yeah.
monster.
Yeah.
Like they're contorted, the body's been malformed into something different that still serves the same purpose to get
Yeah.
around, but the head's twisted backwards. This is all a practical effect as well and is done really fucking well. And honestly is the only part of this movie that I can remember sticking into my head because this image of her doing this is so
Mhm.
fucking twisted and
Yeah.
looks so real that it just sticks in your mind, right?
It
And
does.
I
Yeah.
remember this part. She crawls out on all fours with her head completely spun around backwards, is laughing at him. He's not going to try to get back in the car or get near her. So he starts running to the church, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
Now, this is where everything gets really fucking fuzzy for me, because now it just feels like a fucking fever dream.
Well, yeah.
But he gets to the church, opens the door, and instead of walking immediately into the church, he's in a confessional booth,
Yeah.
like a right? And he's sitting there and he doesn't know why he's sitting there. And then on the other side of the booth, he hears the voice of Sutter Cane, right? Sutter Cane is leaning in and he says, why are you still here? Why have you not taken my manuscript back to the publisher? And he's like, what are you talking about? I don't have a manuscript. And then he looks down at his hands and realizes he has the manuscript in his hand,
Yeah.
right? And so he's like, I don't know what you want me to do. I'm not sure what any of this is about. He's like, don't worry about it. You're going to do everything I say anyway, because I wrote you that way. So you're going to take my manuscript back to the publisher and we're going to get it out so the rest of the world can read it. Sam Neill's character, you can see on his face, he thinks he's going insane.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So he takes the manuscript. Obviously, he doesn't want to take it back to the publisher, so he throws it on the ground. When he throws it on the ground, he looks up and he's standing in the same room with uh, the assistant and Sutter Cane. And I'm piecing this together as I go because this scene is so twisted.
It is. Yeah.
So he's standing in the same room with Sutter Cane and the assistant. The assistant appears to be back to normal at this point, like she's her normal self. Um,
He also says something to Sam Neill, "You're going to bring my book back," and he says, "Down, beyond that corridor, you can go back into your reality."
right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. Yeah.
This corridor, Mike, I don't know if you noticed it, and I feel like maybe this was done on purpose later, but
Yeah.
this came out before Event Horizon. But there's a scene in Event Horizon where Sam Neill's character is running down this corridor to the end of the ship, and the corridor almost looks exactly the same as
Yeah.
this scene.
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like they did that shit on purpose, but whatever. It's cool. Like if you watch Event Horizon and Sam Neill's character running down this corridor, you get the exact same shot here. And if you put the shots side by side, it's almost the exact same scene. Um, but he says at the end of that corridor, you can go back to your world where you're going to deliver my manuscript.
Yeah.
Um, and he says, I want to show you what is on the other side of this door or something to that effect. Right.
He says, "I can't hold them back much longer."
That's
No.
right. I
Yeah.
can't hold them back much longer. They're going to escape. They're going to enter this world.
Yeah.
He reaches up to his face and pulls everything away, but what he's doing is tearing away pieces of pages. Right? It's a
Yeah.
cool effect. It doesn't look shitty at all. It looks cool. He pulls it away here and makes a big hole in like the pages of a book, and it's an abyss. It's exactly what is like explained over and over and over in Lovecraftian books. It is a void. Sam Neill's character walks over to it and looks into it. Of course, we don't see what he's seeing,
Yeah.
but the entire time he's doing this, the assistant is reading out of the book the exact scene that we're watching and
Yeah. Exactly
describes
what's
the
happening.
horrors that he is looking at.
Yeah.
And this description, if I can find it, I'll put it up on the screen.
Yeah.
But the description is brilliant. It's
Yeah.
it's like there are millions and millions of horrible atrocities crawling over the bones of eons of other universes. Just a very Lovecraftian thing. And of course, we can't see that. We only hear the description that she's reading. And as he's looking into this, we see his face, and he's getting very wide-eyed and
Yeah.
astonished and terrified at the same time because what she's explaining is what he's seeing. Immediately, he turns around from that, runs to the assistant, grabs the manuscript. At this point, we don't know why, but he does. He grabs the manuscript from her and runs to the end of the corridor. As he's doing that, these creatures break out of the hole that
Yeah.
he was staring into.
Yeah. But Sean, but you missed something important.
What?
Because he first wants to take the assistant and take her with him,
Mm.
but she says no, I can't leave anymore because I've read the book to the end.
All right.
Yeah,
Right,
because
right, right, right.
she says I read the book to the end. There's no hope for me anymore because I'm
Right.
I'm a part of this story now.
Right.
And then he takes it and he runs through the corridor as you said. Yeah.
Mhm. And then you get some of the best practical effect monsters
Yeah.
of this time and probably even now. Like
Yeah.
these things look great, dude. And it's not even filmed like in the dark. Like you would imagine this practical effect would do really
Yeah.
well with very dark lighting, but the lighting is somewhat lit and you can see everything on them and how they look,
Mm.
and it looks great. Like this scene alone with these atrocities chasing him down this hallway is
Yeah.
just fucking epic. It's
Mhm.
epic as shit. I loved it. I had to actually go back and watch it again because the suits on the monsters and the way they look just look so fucking cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
They chase him to the end of the corridor. He goes through the door, and when he goes through the door, he ends up on a street, like a dirt road, in bright daylight, with the manuscript in his hand. Right? He kind of looks around. He's like, "Where the fuck am I? What am I doing here?" And a kid rides up on a bike. By the way, the same bike that we saw earlier, that they saw the person riding down the road on. He's got the cards in his spokes, and the kid stops and says, "Are you okay? Have you been in an accident?" Sam Neill's character's like, "Actually, yes, I've been in an accident." He's like, how do I get back to the highway from here?" Because he has no idea where he is. This is just a random dirt road.
Yeah.
The kid's like, "The highway's right up there if you walk. It's maybe a mile."
Mm.
And he asked the kid something, but I can't remember what he asked them.
I'm also not sure. I don't remember what he asked.
Saying it from this point is a fever
Yeah.
dream. So when
Yeah.
people say things, I'm like, I don't remember what the fuck they said.
Yeah.
Anyway, the kid says something ominous, and Sam Neill's character kind of just shrugs it off and then
Yeah.
walks, right?
Yeah.
The next scene we get, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, is back at the publisher's office, right?
Yes, because exactly that's the same scene. You see him walking off. No, not he. First, he goes to a motel, but he doesn't have the
Right,
manuscript anymore because he comes out of the tunnel without the manuscript.
right.
Until when he walks into the motel, checking in, the guy at the receptionist says, "Oh, Mister Trent, here's a package for you." He's like, "But nobody knows I'm here." No, apparently somebody does. Then he opens up and it's the manuscript.
Right.
Yeah, so
And this
whenever he
flips
does,
him out too, right?
yeah, the manuscript always comes back to him. He almost goes after the receptionist, trying to be, where did you get this from, and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
But the guy can't tell him. Then he goes. Then it cuts back to the city of the publisher where he's talking to him, explaining
Right.
everything that happened, and the publisher doesn't really believe him either now anymore. And
Right.
Sam Neill's character, yeah, I understand. If you don't believe me because it sounds insanely weird, I don't really believe it myself either. The only thing I know is I left the manuscript at home, and we cannot release this book. This book
Yeah, this is
cannot be
great.
released. And this is brilliant, by the way. But the publisher looks totally confused at him, but and is like, "But you gave me the manuscript 7 weeks ago."
Right.
And Sam Neill's like fully shocked. He says, "You
Yeah.
were already here 7 weeks ago and gave me the manuscript. The book is already being printed and it's going to be released in a few days. We even have a movie deal. There's going to be a movie made about this."
Yeah. Yeah.
And Sam Neill is just like fully shocked because everything Sutter Cane actually written actually happened, but he has no memory of it happening.
It's like he blinked and 7 weeks went by and he completely missed it.
Yeah.
But yeah,
And it,
he brought them the manuscript. The book is coming out, and now there's a movie deal, right?
yeah.
And so he's like, he goes a little bit nuts and walks outside. And I think this is where we get our final thing of him walking down the alley one last time, right?
No, that's not it because you see a bookstore. You see a bookstore.
That's
somebody,
it. That's it. Yeah.
somebody walking out. This guy buying this book, stopping, looking at Samuel's character also looks the same way the old publisher did, like complete fucking insane.
Yeah.
And then, do you like this book? And then you see the eyes of the guy, the same infected eyes, and like he hasn't slept for a week. Says it's the best book I've ever read. Says, "Oh, then you're gonna love this." He pulls out an axe and just hits the guy on the head with it. And this is
Yeah.
obviously the situation that got him locked up.
Yeah.
Then it cuts back to the asylum because this is pretty much where his stories end. He's back
Yeah.
in the asylum talking to the doctor or
Right.
whatever. And the
Yeah.
doctor the doctor can't believe this entire story because he's like, yeah, whatever. The world is going to end and blah, because it's just a book.
Right.
And not everybody says, but then Samuel Neill's like, yeah, but more people have read this book than have read the Bible. Billions. And he
Right.
says, okay. And so this is also where Sam Neill establishes everybody that reads this book is going to die.
Right.
Yeah.
And then the doctor says, what about people who don't read? He's like, if you think that, what about people who don't read? And he's like, there's a movie.
Yeah, and
I love that because that says a lot about society too, is that we realize that something grips people and it's something people love and you can make money off of it. So immediately we realize, hey, there's a lot of people who don't read, but if we make it into a movie, we can make twice the money.
Yeah, exactly. This is and then the doctor just leaves the cell, closes the door, and he comes back to he's met by Lionel Luther. John Glover's character is he's like, well, can you make any sense of what he's saying? And then the doctor is like, no, it's just crazy talk.
Yeah.
And talking about how Sutter Cane's books are going to be real or whatever. And then starts to walk off till John Glover stops. Oh, you also read Sutter Cane? And then the doctor just shakes his head and walks away.
And walks off, yeah.
Because he's had enough of this shit. This is all a brilliant scene, by the way, because now you see Sam Neill in his pattern cell. Why he wanted to be in there, because one thing, Sam Neill, till this day, has not read the book or seen the movie.
Right.
Yeah? So,
he hasn't finished it, so he still partially has his normal human mind.
Yeah.
Right?
And however, you see like all of this weird shit going on. You can hear all of the creatures that you saw previously in the movie destroying everything. The glass of the door breaks open. And you see full apocalypse going on.
Yeah.
Then, I think a day later, Sam Neill opens up his cell because it's open now.
Yeah.
And he just walks out of the asylum, walks through the street. Everything's empty. Nobody is anywhere.
No people. Everything's destroyed.
Yeah.
On fire. There's smoke coming from everywhere. And this is, Mike, this is where you get the part where John Carpenter inserted himself into this film.
Not yet, because he's walking down the street and you hear a radio signal coming on.
Ah, right.
From the government. It says, hey, for those people left if you're not infected, just stay at home until all of this is over. Do not read this story. Do not watch this movie. Something like
Mhm.
that on those lines.
Right.
You can't trust anybody anymore. Only trust yourself. Stay at home. Lock your door.
Yeah.
And so this also hints towards there are people that still survive. It
Yeah.
depends on how much. So apparently, this apocalypse only happened to people that actually read
Read the book or
Sutter
saw
Cane
the movie.
or saw
Yeah.
the movie. But what appears to be a large portion of people. At the end, what you just say, this is where John Carpenter written himself into the movie, because you see Sam Neill going to the movie theater with the mouth of madness, with a popcorn, sitting down, watching the movie, and then you just have a rehash of everything happened.
And he's
Because-
staring at first, the title card comes up when he walks
Yeah.
by and it says John Carpenter's In the Mouth of Madness, right? And I had to laugh at that part. I was like, dude, what the fuck?
Yeah,
He
this is
totally wrote himself into this film. And you're right, he's sitting there watching everything that we just saw happen so far, scene by scene.
as a movie.
And he's laughing hysterically at the screen.
Yeah.
It's such a fucking great scene, dude. Like he
Yeah,
just
and-
realizes that he's just been a character in this book this entire fucking time.
Yeah, that's when he fully realizes it. And that's
Yeah.
also the end of the movie. What's brilliant about it is God damn it, this is so Lovecraftian to actually wrap your head around the story, is because you are watching the movie, the main character of this movie at the end of the movie is watching the same movie you are watching.
Yeah.
At the same time you are watching the movie.
Yeah.
About a movie where a fictional story became reality and destroyed the world.
Yeah.
Oh, God. I mean,
Dude, it's
so-
fucking brilliant.
It's so
fucking brilliant.
nuts. It is brilliant. It's so weird. But
Yeah, and
brilliant at the
I'm
same
not really sure any
Yeah.
other film has done something like this well. That's why this
Yes.
movie sticks out.
Yeah, yeah.
Like you could argue that the Phantasm movies kind of do the same thing, but probably not on this scale. This
No.
this is meta in a very psychotic meta way.
Yes, it's
right?
very meta psychotic, like you say, but the thing is, the reason is this kind of Lovecraftian movie ties itself into reality.
Yeah.
To a point where the story is very cohesive because it's easy to follow, because you always have this tie in reality. The difference between Phantasm goes totally in,
Way out
fully
in
in
left
into
field,
the
yeah.
into the otherworldly shit that you cannot really the human mind cannot even conceive.
Yeah.
Why the Phantasm basically is a fever dream. You cannot really say what events in the entire Phantasm franchise are actually real or not.
Right.
Because how should I say it? Phantasm, even the last movie that I have to watch, by the way, I haven't
seen it
seen
either.
4 or 5. I haven't seen 4 or 5 or 6 as well. But what I know of Phantasm is that at the end of Phantasm 5 or 6, I'm not sure what it was. It comes out that the entire franchise so far is a fever dream. Everything.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
basically Reggie's fever dream because he's
Yeah.
in coma. After he, Michael, and Michael's brother encountered Tallman the first time.
Yep. Yep.
I mean,
But see, that's something that I have to wonder. Like this movie right here, it was not a book before it was a movie, right?
Yeah.
And it made an impression enough to where if you're a horror fan, you know this movie. I have not met anyone who claims to be a horror head or someone who likes horror who has not seen this movie. And this movie comes up and is the topic of horror discussions all the time, just because of how fucked up the story is and the practical effects. And if that's the case, you could have continued this. You could have continued into another movie. and brought this even for because I would like to know how the rest of it pans out. To be honest with you. Like this is obviously the end of this. It's not a franchise. It's just one movie. But why not make another one? This is definitely one that could use a sequel at least,
Yes,
just to
yes.
take it further out
I mean,
into
it
oblivion.
could have,
You know?
it could have. I mean, but who knows what way it would have went down? Because it could have ended up just as super fucked up as Phantasm is.
Yeah, but that's great.
I know.
That's great.
I mean,
I mean,
yeah,
you're people will go see it. You know what I mean?
yeah,
People
yeah,
will
yeah.
like it as long as it's not done poorly. I mean, this was at a time where horror movies were not as big. Like I don't recall 1994, 1995 being a big time for horror.
Yeah,
So it
yeah,
wasn't as big of a deal as it is now, and that's probably why it didn't get a sequel.
yeah, yeah.
But once the 2000s exploded, horror just was everywhere. So
I
you have to wonder why they didn't do a sequel. I would love to see what happens next, honestly.
That would be pretty cool. But I
Yeah.
should say, even though I would like a sequel, I just say there are certain stories and movies or books that don't need a sequel, and I would say this is one of them. Not because I think I think the movie is brilliant the way it is. Nah, and it's a self-contained story.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if making a sequel would actually make it better or just kind of ruin it, you know?
Well,
Because
I think the reason I say that is because a lot of Lovecraftian stuff, you get to see the full extent of what these monsters do,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
So there's always this epic, and this is why it's so interesting that part where he's looking into the void and everything's being described. You want to see what those things are capable of and what they do to the earth. And every character and every monster that was written by H.P. Lovecraft does something really interesting to the environment around it. The
yeah, I
buildings
yeah,
change, the
yeah,
scenery changes, everything kind of turns into this amalgamation of these creatures. And society and human beings ultimately end up getting decimated. And I would love to see that because that's the one thing we didn't get to see in this film. We kind of get to know that these creatures came out and obviously did these horrible things and that humanity's probably destroyed, but we don't get to see it. And I think that's the only thing this film is missing is I want to see the full level of devastation that these creatures are capable of, right? But without it, the film still is brilliant and works great the way it is. So yeah, it doesn't need a sequel. Me personally, I would love to see what the Earth looks like, you know, but whatever.
yeah.
I'm sure somebody will get the idea along the line to maybe make a sequel. I mean, John Carpenter films, if
Yeah,
nothing
yeah.
else, get sequels. Whether they're good or bad is another thing.
Mhm.
I will say, did you hear about the Thing sequel that's coming?
Yes, you've told me multiple times.
I told you about that?
You've told me about a Thing sequel. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure if I told you or not.
You
Sorry.
mentioned, I
I'm
mean,
just
not
excited.
you've mentioned it, I think. I'm not sure if it was in the podcast or privately, but I think you mentioned a Thing sequel.
I think it was probably privately. Apparently the sequel has been greenlit and they are working on it. So let's see. Right.
Yeah, let's see how it turns out. Yeah.
Better be practical effects. It better be
Yeah.
something better than what they did with that fucking prequel, man. That was awful.
No,
Did you ever see this?
yeah,
You
I
saw
thought
the
it was okay.
yeah.
I thought it was fine.
No.
Yeah.
Some
Uh,
things don't need to be explained in a horror film. I didn't need to know what led up to everything.
Yeah, I was trying to say, I think it was pretty well explained, the way it was in the Thing.
Yeah.
No, but yeah, I mean, I thought the prequel was okay. I wouldn't say I love it, but I think I've seen worse movies.
I hated it. I
Yeah.
hated it. But I
Yeah,
mean,
but
that's
I
just
mean,
me.
yeah, but I'm gonna be honest, Matt. But you hate it just because it's different and because it's not practical
No, I
effects.
don't
I
hate
mean,
it
come
because
on,
it's
be
different.
honest.
No, this is one of those things that I think if you got into a discussion with it about people who like really like the story, they'll tell you
Mhm,
it's not the story that's bad.
mhm.
Like the prequel, the story is not bad. The story is good. The thing is they went with all digital effects and it looks like crap and that's what kind of betrays the original version, because that's
Uh,
honestly what makes the original version good, is that they didn't use digital effects. One, they didn't
yeah.
have any. They had to make everything work with practical effects, and that's what made the movie kind of stand the test of time.
Yeah.
And the prequel, they just fucking filled it with digital effects and it looks like shit. I have yet to find someone who's a fan of The Thing that doesn't say the same thing. But whatever. I mean, I'm probably just a hardcore fan. I also don't like anything they've done with aliens past Alien 3. So, I mean, don't listen to
Yeah.
me.
How should I say it? Aliens is different. The only actually good movies were Alien and Aliens. Aliens 3 was okay, and Aliens 4 was okay too. It's not the best movie,
Yeah.
but it was fun in its own way. It was total fucking wacky. Huh?
Yeah.
And I'm gonna be honest, I like that about it. I like the
Yeah.
concept of
I
aliens
didn't
being
dislike Alien 4.
yeah. Alien 4 was just different. It was weird, wacky, and I wouldn't call it like I would say I would call it a very, very flawed masterpiece, if that makes sense. Nah?
Yes.
I
Yes.
really love the movie, but it's flawed in multiple ways. Nah?
Yeah.
But in the Alien franchise, the only two things that were good were the first two movies. Everything
Yeah.
after that was nah. No?
Yeah. I
Even
would
though
argue Alien 3 could have been great.
could have been.
It could have
Could have
been great if the studio hadn't got involved and fucked it all up. But
Yeah. So far,
whatever.
I did not hate any of the Alien movies after Aliens. It's just for me they were all uh
Yeah.
that's how I felt about all of them. The only thing I actually really hated was Alien Earth. Because that is that
I think everybody can agree on that. Yeah.
that's the worst shit I have ever seen. That's like I mean, I don't know.
See,
No.
this is why after that episode we did about Alien Earth, I still have not seen Welcome to Derry yet, right? But
Yeah, but you do know that's the next one on our list. No, that's
I know that's why I'm interested, because I have not seen it yet. I'm a big fan of it, the
Yeah.
book,
Yeah.
and the original Tim Curry film. I did not like the remakes. Whatever lightning in a bottle they had, they lost.
yeah.
In my opinion,
I
right?
mean, yeah,
And you didn't like him either
I liked him. I never said I didn't like him. I just after the scene towards the end,
with Reggie.
yeah, that after that I couldn't take it seriously. But other than that, I liked the It remakes. They were okay. They were fine. No,
Okay.
they just
Well,
weren't like
Welcome to Derry.
I was never really that much of an It fan, even though I liked the original and I liked the remake.
Okay.
And when it comes to Welcome to Derry, I've only heard positive things.
I've heard a lot of positive things. Yeah.
I have not heard any negative things about it. No. So I don't know. I mean, we're gonna have to watch it anyway because it's probably gonna
Yeah,
be our next
I guess
episode.
it depends. I guess it depends on what type of fan you are. So the real hardcore It fans, um, it's very divided. A lot of them hate it. Absolutely fucking hate it. Like they think it's the worst thing to ever come to It. And
Yeah,
then there's people that are big It fans that think it's the best thing ever. So I'm
I mean,
interested to see where we land on this.
but it's also I would say divided. How should I say it? For me. I'm gonna be honest. This is for me a typical, original Star Trek or Next Generation discussion.
Yeah.
That if I look at fans or how people discuss this stuff, a lot of online or whatever, that's the kind of thing you have going on, specifically between books, original Tim Curry, and now Bill Skarsgård, Pennywise.
Right.
I do not think I wouldn't really call it division. I would just call it disagreement because if I look how people are talking about these things and specifically your opinions on it, it's very clearly Captain Kirk Picard type of discussion.
Yeah.
And that's what's going on. No?
Fan base separations. Yeah.
Yes, but it's not really I'm not sure if I would call it divisive because all of you people you're all watching it. It's yeah, that's kind of thing. Even though a lot of people make these comparisons, back in the day when you have like I brought up Star Trek because I thought it's a very good comparison. Huh?
Oh, it's great. It's probably the most divisive series on the planet.
What?
Star Trek.
No, not really.
With the newer stuff that's coming out?
But we didn't get into that one. Newer stuff, that's something differently. That is a
Okay.
different discussion we having now because uh the situation back in the days with older Star Trek, it's who is the better captain? What is the better series? Original or New Generation? No?
Right.
But that is what people were dividing on. There were people that were, of course, more fans of Next Generation, more fan of original, and there were a lot of people that hated one or the other. But all of these people together were all the fans, and they all watched this stuff. They
Yeah.
either liked it or not. No? That is a similar situation going on now with the It remake. Yeah?
Yeah.
You have the fans of the book, you have the fans of the original Tim Curry Pennywise, and you have the fans of Bill Skarsgård Pennywise. And people, that, kind of like both. But none of these people are actually being toxic towards each other. Neither are they, I would say, hating on one or the other. That's just why you have this type of scenario. Now, if you go into Star Trek, newer Star Trek has barely anything to do with Star Trek anymore.
Right.
We're not talking here about like Kirk Picard situation. It's just like, new Star Trek is basically just Star Wars without lightsabers. And I'm going to be honest about this. And that's one thing that I always hated about it. Because if I want to see like drama, love shit, and pointless spaceships blowing each other up, I'm going to watch Star Wars, not Star Trek. Star Trek was always the more intellectual show compared to Star Wars. Even though I like both, I don't want people to say like I don't like Star Wars. I do.
Yeah.
But I always preferred Star Trek because Star Trek was always a very more intellectual show. No? And it also had moral situations or moral what's it called?
Conundrum.
Exactly that. And it portrayed those conundrums, no? That to a strong degree were taken from our society or our real world, but just written into this scenario. And you can see the Federation looking at these situations, and you as a viewer could pretty much put up what was the right view or not. No?
Right.
That's what separates modern Star Trek from old Star Trek. That's not what modern Star Trek does. Modern Star Trek, all of these social issues are being written exactly the same way they are in our real world into the sci-fi setting. What makes no sense?
Yeah.
No? I mean,
Yeah.
if you go into the new Star Trek show that portrays people with glasses, with disabilities, and all these kind of things, generally not a big thing. But all of these things in the Federation do not exist because they have medical treatment for all of this.
Right. Basically, what you're talking about is just lore breaking. You know what I mean?
I mean, fundamental lore and world building breaking. It makes no sense anymore.
And that's why I bring up it, because that is the major criticism of Welcome to Derry, is that it breaks canon.
I'm not really that well. I'm not that.
I'm not either. These are just things that I've heard, so we have to watch it and figure it out.
No, I'm not. I can't think of the English term now. I'm not really that into the canon and world building, to be honest. No, so
yeah.
I'm probably going to go into this as somebody. I'm a horror fan. I like it, but I never considered myself a fan. So that's probably the reason why I was not disappointed with the remakes, and why I might actually like this show, because I'm not really that much into the.
But I think that's what makes it interesting, and that was my original point, is that you're a fan of it because you're a horror fan and not totally into the lore. I, on the other hand, grew up with the book, so I know the lore, I know what it is, so I'm going to spot those things immediately and probably shit all over them. So we'll get two different views of the whole thing, and that's why I'm interested. By the way, it's on Amazon. We're going to have to rent it because it's the only place you can get it. I can't get it on Plex.
Okay, good. Then we're gonna have to do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, so then everybody knows what the next episode is.
Yeah.
So if you are an It fan and you've seen Welcome to Derry, make sure you catch the next episode because me and Mike are going to watch the whole fucking thing.
Yes. Yeah.
You got anything else you want to say about In the Mouth of Madness? John
No.
Carpenter's John
The ne-
Carpenter's other standout film.
Yeah. No, not really. I mean, just that it's a brilliant movie, and I think it's a masterpiece.
Yeah. It is.
And yeah, it's just absolutely my line because it's super fucking weird, and I love super fucking weird horror movies.
Yeah. The only thing I have to say about it is this has made me remember exactly how great Sam Neill is in horror films.
Yes. Yes.
This
yes.
guy is not done acting. He's still doing movies. So Sam
Yeah.
Neill, if you hear this, please do some more horror films, dude. Please.
Yeah.
I would love that. If you do a horror film, I will go see it. Period. Maybe ring your old friend John Carpenter and tell him, hey, I'm sure you got a story tucked away somewhere that you've been wanting to do. Let's do it. Please. Maybe an Event Horizon sequel would be good. Maybe.
Yeah.
Please. Yeah. Okay. So check us out next week for Welcome to Derry. And until then, I'm Matt.
I'm Mike.
And we'll see you guys next week.
See you next week. Bye.
The blackest eyes. The devil's eyes.